Well, it's me. Welcome back to my channel, and today I have something different for you. We are doing a summary of the movie The Birds. So without further ado, let's get started. This movie is based on a true story that happened in 1963 in Bodega Bay, California. There were these birds, mostly seagulls and other large birds, that started attacking people out of nowhere. Nobody knew why they were doing this, but people were getting hurt. Our story starts with a woman named Melanie Daniels, who works at a pet store in San Francisco. She meets this guy named Mitch Brenner and his son named Sammy. They invite her over to their house in Bodega Bay for dinner, but she declines because she has to work. Later on, we find out that Mitch is actually the father of one of Melanie's old childhood friends. And so, the next day, she decides to take a little trip down to Bodega Bay to go see him and his son. On her way there, she stops by a bird shop to buy some bird seed, but they're all out. She buys some for her own personal birds. While she's there, she sees a man putting some dead birds in a cage, and she asks him about it. He tells her that they were found dead on the beach, and that this is becoming a common sight. She finally arrives at Mitch's house, and they all decide to go out to dinner. On their way to the restaurant, they see more dead birds on the ground, and they hear some screaming and commotion coming from above them. All of a sudden, birds start dropping from the sky and pecking at the people. They run away, screaming. That night, the power goes out and Melanie can't sleep because she keeps hearing scratching sounds at her window. She looks outside and sees birds flying around in circles. The next morning, she finds out that Mitch and his son were attacked by birds. While they were sailing out on the water, his son was seriously injured and was taken to the hospital. At this point, all the townspeople are talking about how bad things are getting, and how they need to do something about these birds before someone gets killed. Melanie, feeling bad for the boy, stays behind to take care of Mitch's house, while he goes to the hospital with his son. One night, she's home alone and the birds start attacking the house. She barely escapes and runs to a neighbor's house. They all sit outside on the porch and discuss what to do. Some of the townspeople want to set traps to catch the birds, while others think that the best thing to do is to leave and go somewhere else. The next morning, Melanie finds that the birds have built a nest on her car, and she can't get out of town. She calls up her friend from the bird shop to see if he knows what's going on. He tells her that he thinks the birds are just protecting their young. She eventually makes it out of town and goes back to San Francisco. The news on the radio is reporting that hundreds of birds have been dropping dead from the sky, and people are still being attacked. Some time passes and Mitch comes back from the hospital with his son. They're both covered in bandages and cuts. At this point, the birds have completely destroyed the town. There's not a single building left standing. They decide to take a boat out into the ocean to try and escape, but the birds follow them. They eventually make it to a small island and take shelter in a cave. That night, they fall asleep and dream of a future where humans have evolved into birds and are free from the constraints of their physical bodies. When they wake up, they find that the cave is full of dead birds that have flown into it during the night. They had hoped to escape on the boat, but it, too, is full of dead birds. They had flown right into the sails. They spend the night in the cave, and the next morning they decide to walk along the beach. As they're walking, they come across a dead bird and a small bird that looks like it was separated from its mother too soon. Mitch's son picks the bird up, and they all three walk off together into the distance. The end.